You know, this is not optimal, but it's kind of funny. So let's just do that anyway. I guess I'm just trying to waste time for cooldowns to come back, first and foremost. No, man. Oh, she rolled into it. That's funny. Well, I think that's Master. Yep. Lucy, right? I don't think he's... I don't think my opinion on him is really any different. Now, to be fair, Lucilius is not a character that I was very uncertain of my opinion of. It was when I first said that I think he was the most nerfed character in Season 2. I wasn't sure about it just because it was new, right? But as the dust has settled, right? I think that Take has aged pretty well, right? Like if you think about if you don't remember the 2.0 patch, basically your three characters that got any meaningful amount of nerfs was Lucilius, obviously, and then Siegfried and Belial, right? And Sieg and Belial got hit, right? Sieg and Belial certainly did get hit, but I think both of them more so like half a tier kind of drops, right? Belial from like potentially top 1 to like bottom top tier, top of high tier kind of thing. Siegfried from like somewhere in the bottom part of top tier to like the high end of high tier, right? But Lucilius, on the other hand, very strong character that got kind of, I wouldn't say he didn't get destroyed, but as far as the impact that one line of text had on him, it kind of was a destruction, right? One line of text dropped this motherfucker like 2 tiers or something like that, like a tier and a half. It's kind of wild. He doesn't get Blade level 5, man. It's crazy. Like playing the character, it's even harder than I thought. That's one thing, right? You start Lucy today? No, we started him yesterday and we finished him up in like 20 minutes at the start of today. So like 3 hours-ish total. I think your observation of him taking twice the time to hit win con is huge. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's even harder than I thought, man. It really is. If you're winning, you're gonna kill, which Lucy, by the way, can still do. Lucy is still a solid, like, strong character without Blade level 5 ever happening, right? But the fact of the matter is, the weird part about Lucy, right, is that he does pretty good damage even at Blade level 0, right? Because Razzle's saying it's so wild to think you have to hit your opponent to win would drop him so much. It's kind of because even outside of Blade level 5, it feels a bit matchup specific as well. No, you're right on it, sir. It's very matchup specific. Like, how easy, like, in some matchups it'll be way easier, in some matchups it'll be nigh impossible, right? Nier, when I say pre-patch Nier, it's funny to say that I mean that she actually got better now. But, Season 2 Nier, not Season 2.1 Nier, because 2.1 Nier is much better. But, like, Season 2 Nier might be, she must have been the easiest character to get Blade level 5, with, right? Just because she would go deathless and you would hit 5U from full screen and there was literally nothing she could do about it. She just had to sit there and watch you, like, charge, right? But the problem, the reason that Lucy getting taken, like, he has to hit the opponent to win, the reason that means he never gets his win condition is because this guy hits hard just baseline. No Blade level, keep in mind, even Blade levels 1, 2, 3, 4 give him intermediate buffs, right? God, I forgot it already, but it's cooldowns on the even levels and damage on the odd levels, I think, right? But even without any of that, just like even this, right? Most characters do not necessarily like hit that hard completely resources. Now, to say it's completely resources it's a little bit of a lie, right? It's a little bit of a lie just because of how Lucilius works, right? To say this is completely resourceless is a little disingenuous, but we'll get into that in a second, right? But like 5k damage, nothing, like no resource, no nothing in the mid-screen. You know who else does that now? Like only recently, and it's fucking insane, is this guy, right? Like, Vasaraga has some of the best resources mid-screen in the entire game, and it's because he can do shit like this. I forget, oh god, what was the, what's the combo? It's this into that? You have to micro-lock the far M or something, I think, right? He does auto combo into this, into that, this, that, right? That's 4660, no resource, no nothing, and that's really insane that Vasaraga can do that. Most characters don't get this kind of damage. Honestly, some characters don't get this kind of damage with a U skill, right? Like, there are characters, you know, not to bully my goat, okay? Not to bully my goat. But there are some characters where if you said, you know, no special conditions, no set play, no nothing, do 4,000 damage, they kind of have to Raging Strike, right? Eustace is a bad example because he has maybe some of the worst mid-screen in the entire game, unless this thing is on. He might have the worst mid-screen in the entire game, unless this thing is on. But, like, you know, you tell like, Eustace to do 3k with a U skill, and he kind of freezes, right? Like, right? Like, I don't even... Can he? I don't think so, right? Like, you give this guy 214 HH, I mean, sure, yeah, right? 3,400 damage. It's a good 1.5k under. And even if he wanted to extend it, like, with U skills, he can't really get too much more. He basically has to do some sort of Raging Strike launcher to get to that sort of, aspect, right? And even outside of him, right? Even like Eustace, yeah, Zoe, you know, characters with awful mid-screen, sure. Even like, yeah, a character like Mr. Fawn right here, I would consider, has pretty good mid-screen with one U skill as far as the corner carry and damage he gets, right? Like, his ass is not eclipsing this, really, right? By that much. Like, this is with a U skill. Right? And he's not doing that much better than Lucilius is completely resourceless. Now, of course, the big thing that he's going to gain over him, besides that little bit of damage, like that 400 damage, is the corner carry, right? Sandalphon is taking you basically, like, corner to corner and getting Oki off of it, which Lucilius is not doing really the same thing with this, right? Like, if Lucy is doing his little resources combo right here, right? Like, this is significantly worse corner carry. He gets Oki, but it is significantly worse corner carry. But again, we're comparing... like, using a U skill in the combo to not using a U skill in the combo, right? So, Lucy's resource mid-screen is genuinely up there as some of the best in the game, if not, like, I mean, off of pokes like this, right, it'll be a little lower, obviously, but I mean, to be fair, that also, this applies to every other character in the video game, too, right? I guess max range far M, you can't actually go again, right? But even this, off of a stray far M, really good. Very, very good damage-wise to be doing basically 4k off of a stray far M. His next duel? Probably, actually. Probably. That was actually what I wanted to do after Galleon, but I got bribed to do Lucy, and I was happy to do it. So even just this, like, stray far M and neutral into 4k is really strong, right? Like, even, you know, compare it to the goddess of the game herself, right? Her ass is not usually getting that much off of, like, she can do this with an auto combo, right? What is it again? I forget the exact way to extend off this. Do you just hit 5U and 5U again? Do you have to be, does it have to be crouching for this to extend? Is that real? Is that why the U Fireball does it so well? Because it forces crouch. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah. Let me look, even like, compare this to this bitch, right? Unless she has a crouching confirm, she is not getting resources mid-screen anywhere near what Lucy is doing, right? Like, this is Catalina. This is straight up one of the best reward on hit type characters in the entire video game, even after her nerfs, right? This still remains to be true. She is really not, if she can't spend that U skill, she's really not getting anything close to what Lucilius is really putting up, right? I mean, she can do this, I think, with no, yeah, she can do that, which is pretty good, right? This into that? Is it the EX one that you need to do to link that? Or, yeah, there you go. That's pretty good, right? So that's certainly comparable at that point. Again, though, worse Oki, right? Worse situation. We're not comparing Lucilius to any like weirdo, right? This is one of the best characters in the game at just getting, you know, reward off their hits, right? Mid-screen, maybe not corner necessarily. Cat does good damage in the corner, but not insane. Like, yeah, off, like, you know, mid-screen, meterless, with meter, whatever. Catalina is the highest of the high echelon in this video game. Especially, I mean, her and Versuja are even much more comparable now, post Versuja's nerfs, as far as the damage that Versuja gets, anyway, right? So, like, Catalina is doing serious work here, right? She is still, by all means, like a top 3 character in terms of rewards in the mid-screen. Besides, like, it's like near Versuja Catalina, or something like that, right? And then, like, trailing right after them, like, very closely after them, right? Characters, I mean, Catalina and Versuja now both kind of dropped into that, like, it's Nier is still #1, right, and always has been, basically, even after she got nerfed. But it's, you know, there's kind of this big bucket of characters that all have really, really good resources and resource mid-screen. Characters like Ladiva, characters like Vasaraga now for some reason, characters like Catalina, Versuja. Lucilius is in that group, is the point, right? Charlotta can do, well, I thought Charlotta needed a Raging Strike to extend. The Charlotta's mid-screen damage really that good? I was unaware. Charlotta in this little group, maybe this is one thing that I was sort of neglecting on the little potato here. Is she's doing this into, oh right, because because just goes into the guy, right? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, she's cooking. She goes into Honda Headbutt. Yeah, that's pretty good. Very similar idea, right? Very high resourceless, well, EX specials, but again, most characters are spending EX specials, right? And that's kind of the thing I want to talk about with Lucilius as well, right? To call the one asterisk on Lucilius's mid-screen, even after 2 mid-screen combo buffs, Vayne still isn't there. The one asterisk on Lucilius's mid-screen is calling it resourceless is a little disingenuous. And the reason for that is you'll notice, even if Charlotta spends her EX special, right? So she's put her skill on cooldown, it still comes back off cooldown faster than Lucy doing this, right? Look at that, man. Look how long we have to wait for this fireball to return. Right? It's like twice as long. I think EX special cooldowns are 6 seconds? 7 seconds? Right? Notum, by the way, thanks for the follow. Lucilius's base cooldowns are 12 seconds. 12 seconds. Sometimes an entire Grand Blue round is like 30, man. It can happen, right? If you like, sometimes rounds will genuinely end around like the 69, nice, 68 second mark, right? Lucilius is a special. If he does his quote-unquote resourceless combo, right, Lucy's special is on cooldown for half the fucking round at that point, right? Like, 12 seconds is gigantic. It's such a long cooldown. So even though Lucy does get very, very nice conversions off these, not only is he basically spending EX specials, it's even worse than that, right? Like, look at the cooldown on Charlotta's EX DP that happened significantly after Iscariot. They're going to finish at the same time, right? Look at this. She basically beat him there. Like, it was the exact same, where, again, not like Iscariot, the full animation completed, and then Charlotta recovered, and she woke up and DP'd, and her DP ended, and both of them finished at the same time, right? Lucy's level 0 cooldowns are absurdly long. So he does kind of have to think of his special moves as a resource. You don't get these things back for free if you just do, you know, this mid-screen combo that I've been talking up so heavily the entire time. Yes, it's a very nice mid-screen combo, but you're without Phosphorus and without Iscariot for probably, I mean, at the most generous, a quarter of the round, right? So, like, Grand Blue rounds usually are not going to go past 50 seconds or something like that, right? So Lucy is without 2 special moves. Sometimes, you know, his Fireball too, stuff like that. He's without them for like a quarter of the round. It's very debilitating. You can make a snowman at the time it takes for that cooldown to end. If you're really good at it, there are motherfuckers who could solve like 3 Rubik's Cubes in the times that it takes Lucy's cooldowns to come back, right? So that is one thing, right? In terms of kind of a strength and a weakness, Lucy, the reason that Blade level 5, that's the reason I started this tangent in the first place, right? The reason that Blade level 5, making it so that, you know, Lucy actually has to hit the opponent to get a meaningful amount of Blade level, kind of torpedoed how often he gets it, is because he just hits so hard, right? Of all the characters, if we're talking about, you know, Grand Blue rounds aren't going to last that long, if Lucilius is winning, he's going to kill you so fast, man, right? This guy, he does, like, really significant damage off every single hit that he gets, right? Even just something like this, right? Meter refund, 6.4k, right? I mean, I've not kept track of how high his damage in the corner is, but you know, it definitely didn't feel pathetic, right? Whether resourceless or otherwise, right? Even like his mid-screen or his you know, his BMBs in the corner are doing, again, closing on like 6k-ish, right? So he just hits so hard that if he's winning, he's really going to just kill you before Blade level 5 becomes a factor. And if Lucy is losing, the problem is he doesn't really have that same kind of inevitability if he's not the one with the priority, right? Because if he's losing, he probably isn't finding that much of a window to use 5U, right? Because 5U is very much kind of like a, you know, a spaced pressure move, unless you're in certain matchups, right? You kind of have to have the priority to have these gaps to be throwing out 5U and throwing out the follow-ups and all of this. And a lot of Lucilius' special moves are not really defensively minded, right? He only has the one reversal, basically. His fireballs are quite slow to start up, right? Phosphorus is an anti-air, I guess. That's something. But again, quite slow to start up. Iscariot is a combo move, and Tessera is an anti-fireball projectile. If Lucilius is getting pressured, he has no real windows where he's going to be spending those specials to build blade level, you know, hit or block while he's on defense, right? So it kind of gets to a point where it's like, okay, so when does Lucy get Blade level 5, right? If he's winning, he doesn't get it. Who has the worst mid-screen combos? Zoe or Eustace, probably. Probably. Who else? I mean, Zoe has a really nice. 6 doesn't really matter for your mid-screen combos, but actually, I don't know. Who does have the lowest mid-screen damage? Those are the two that off the top of my head that remind me, like, that do not very much damage, even with resource sometimes, right? I think Zoe does better with a U skill, right? Zoe does better with a U skill. Eustace does better without a U skill, if I remember correctly. Toby says Zoe, and he checked. I think she does better than Eustace if she can spend 50, but significantly worse if she can't, kind of something like that. Narm doesn't have mid-screen without meter? Sure, but also Narm is gonna catch you with like part of her whole kit is catching you with flips a lot of the time, right? Which is gonna do quite a lot of damage. Matera, no, Butterfly doesn't do that much. It's kind of its own thing. Perhaps. Anyway, point being, that's not really the point here. The point is that, you know, Lucy doesn't really have a meaningful situation he gets Blade level 5 in a vacuum, in default, right? In reality, does buff base Lucy and nerf BL5? Now, here's the thing. We'll talk about that in a second. It is certainly in certain matchups, it becomes a lot easier for Lucy to like. What's a good example of this? I feel like Ladiva is a fine example, kind of, right? Ladiva certainly is a little bit harder to it's got some longer range jump scares now than she used to, right? But in general, if there's some like character who does not have a fireball, does not have like a way to really contest Lucy, a U fireball especially, right? Because even like a light fireball, Lucy can just clash with that and then go right back into 5U, right? But a character where Lucy can just kind of aura farm from full screen, and the opponent's only option is to just kind of run at him, right? Yeah, Vera would count, UL would count. Characters that are easy to zone, right? Characters that are easy to zone are going to be easy to do this to, right? And in situations like this, if you are down to play just like a super patient defensive Lucy, it can be realistic to spend a lot of time just kind of holding this aura farm and this stance, and then it gets significantly easier to find yourself actually getting to Blade level 5. Without use of 5U, 5U kind of is the linchpin, right? Without 5U, post-patch Lucy is just never going to get to level 5, right? Nier, Deathless Nier especially, is a good example. That's why, you know, last patch, I think Nier was maybe one of Lucilius' best matchups, if not his best matchup. Probably still the case to an extent, but if Nier is Deathless, what the fuck is she doing about this, right? Now notice, see, that speeds up after a bit. She's deathless for way less time. But even now, like, you know, even something like H Ominous Turn, you know, it's not gonna reach him nearly as far. Obviously, she has the U version, right? Things like this, characters where their full screen options are limited and they have a hard time just challenging Lucy sitting there and aura farming. That's where he can actually find himself still hitting Blade level 5 in surprisingly quick fashion, right? Also just fitting 5U into his pressure and his block strings, right? Doing staggered stuff like this. Right? It's like, what have you, right? Like 6XL this into hold the stagger for a sec, and then, you know, M is plus on block, or if they try and, like, jump out of it, right? If they try to jump out of it with this, you can anti-air them. You don't build a ton of Blade level this way, but you are building Blade level while also wasting time for your specials to come back, right? So 5U becomes a very, very important part of post-patch Lucy's kit, but it's still, again, this is a much more interactive way. This is a much more interactive way to gain Blade level than just throw special and neutral, gain, you know, 1/16 of the Blade level bar like he used to do before the patch, right? Because this is a gap. You can match on this. Right? Like if Nier just, I mean, even a far H probably works, right? Like if I have Nier do her far H on block, right? Yeah. So if she does that and then I do this, right? I don't really have time to do anything out of the stance before I get murdered. So then this is a very interactive way for Lucilius to gain Blade level, which, if you don't know, interactive means bad in fighting games. Or at least, not bad, but not broken, right? It's good for things to be interactive, but that is significantly worse than the old way Lucy used to get Blade level, which is that, from full screen. This, like, he can just whiff specials from full screen, and, you know, pre-patch, I would have been nearly at Blade level 2 by now, right? I would get twice as much from this. So I'll be halfway through Blade level. I'd be like Blade level 1.5. I mean, we can see if I did it all one more time. That's where I would have been pre-patch after whiffing those 3 specials. Which also, by the way, snowballs how fast my cooldowns come back, which means I get to do the fireballs more often, right? So again, if I did that one more time, I'm basically halfway through my Blade level bar now. Pre-patch, I would have been almost at Blade level 5. Whiffing 6 rounds of 6 specials like that would have put Lucy nearly at Blade level 5, just like that. Right? That is not very interactive. And that was the truly broken special thing about this character, was that he would just fucking whiff his specials from full screen and you would lose. Right? Because again, nothing has changed about Blade level 5 Lucy since his nerfs, right? And it is still insanely powerful, right? I said Nier is the undisputed queen of the mid-screen. She's undisputed until this guy comes out. Now the crazy thing is Nier actually can do so much damage in the mid-screen that she can even, like, still match up with what Blade level 5 Lucy is doing sometimes, right? But, you know, he is doing like 10, I think that 10-4-5 actually is the Blade level 5 combo in the mid-screen, right? Off of a far M poke. So this is, you know, that's rare air right there. This is still stupid. But he just never gets here anymore. He just basically never gets here anymore. Except in like a handful of matchups, right? So, the thing is, though, right? With all of that being said, with all of that harping on, oh, Lucilius, he never gets to Blade level 5 anymore. Oh, poor Lucilius. Oh, Lucilius is so, you know, it's so sad. Lucy never gets to Blade level 5. This is more so talking about why he isn't top tier, right? And he's nowhere near it. That was the top tier thing about Lucilius. However, the character is still extremely solid. Even if you removed Blade level as a mechanic basically entirely, that would certainly hurt him. Because again, he still gets his intermediate buffs at 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But like, even just baseline, right? Even if you had to deal with the 12-second cooldowns, right? He just has a very solid suite of buttons, right? This, and this in particular being kind of the standouts to me, right? 2U being pretty good as well. Very solid suite of buttons, you know, very high damage in the mid-screen, pretty good damage in the corner, right? Definitely has some defensive struggles, just in the fact that, you know, his meterless DP is certainly not a great one, and he also only has a meterless DP, right? But even then, you know, has these same buttons are also very nice for him to mash on defense, especially this one, right? 7 frame, very active, heavy attack level move, right? Very good for checking people trying to run up and do anything on him. He'd be a better character without the Blade level mechanic. I mean, assuming his cooldowns were adjusted, then yes. I wouldn't mind struggling to get to BL5 as much if you started like 8-second cooldowns. This is what I'm saying though, right? It's like, I think if you, Lucy wouldn't be broken if you did that, but that certainly would be a very big buff, and I don't know that it's needed, right? Lucilius feels pretty fine to me. Right, he's again he's not top tier anymore because Blade level 5 is the only top tier thing about, like, the only like fully like this just warps the game around it kind of thing about him, right? But he still has some of the best buttons in the entire game. He still does high damage. He still has, like, this is a pretty damn good projectile, right? He's got a good 2H. He's got good anti-air combos. He's got good just like conversions off stray hits and shit like that, right? The character has, you know, passable defensive options. Passable. I'll say passable is because again, some of those buttons do certainly get a little bit slower from range, and he's not going to get the most again off these. Like if he pokes you from really far away, he's not getting the most reward off it in terms of corner carry and stuff. But it's fine, right? The character is just very solid. Lucilius feels like a character who just does a lot of stuff pretty well. So he sort of is just man. Right? Like, if we're gonna say that, you know, Zeta is no longer potential woman, she's just woman now, which is pretty funny to me. Lucilius is just kind of man. I think Lucilius just does a lot of Grand Blue stuff pretty well. He doesn't do anything special in particular. Yeah. But he doesn't do, basically everything about him is average to slightly above average to slightly below average. Right? Except for, again, this being very above average, this mid-screen damage. But again, this mid-screen damage coming at the mid-screen damage is very above average, but then the cooldowns are very below average, so it kind of balances each other out, right? Man and woman, yes, yeah. Zeta and Lucilius. Zeta x Lucilius, the man-woman duo, amazing. Also the worst ship you've ever seen. He does benefit a little bit from like the close H multi-hit buff, by the way, but like, you know, by and large, the first hit of his close H does 1,000 damage, the rest of it does 600 at max scaling. That's doing a fifth, right? So he gets like 120 extra damage on his combos, which is not nothing, right? The fact that you can fully let this close H rock at the end is not nothing. But you know, so it's not like it's not a gigantic change, right? The problem was BL5 though. Nerfing base Lucy would just make him feel bad. Yeah, I honestly, with all that being said, I don't really know that I think Lucy. Here's the thing, power level wise, I don't know that I want Lucy to change that much, but he does feel,
they say
a little clunky, right?
From the beast.
Oh my, Jodo, thank you very much for the 5 gifteds right there. 5 gifted subs. Thank you. Congratulations on Master once again, big dog, and thank you for your generosity. But yeah, I don't know that I want a power level buff to Lucilius, right? I don't think so. But he does feel kind of clunky to play, right? He feels very clunky to play. Oh, not very. I'm not going to say very. He feels a little clunky to play, and I'm not really sure what to do about that. Mad Lad there? Yeah, thank you again, Jodo. Very, very, very generous of you. Much appreciated, man. Big ups. But I don't think he needs quality of life buffs, but it's weird, right? Because in my opinion, the main thing that makes Lucy feel clunky to play is the cooldowns, right? But I also feel like he's balanced around the cooldowns. Right? Blade level 5 is what makes the character special. I think leaning into that is good. I mean, the win condition still is special, but it's just it basically doesn't exist, right? So I'm not sure. People were talking about potentially nerfing base Lucy and making it so that, you know, it's easier to get to BL5 again. Maybe. Something about him feels a little. I don't want to remove I think 8-second cooldowns is such a big deal. I agree the more different stuff that happens at each BL will be interesting. That'll be like a rework, basically, but maybe. Because right now, Blade levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, the even levels give him damage buffs, and the odd levels give him cooldown reduction. Or vice versa. I forget. I always forget. I always mix those two up, right? So, like, he gets things outside of BL5, but it'd be very boring if they even out BL0 and BL5 will take away from what gives him identity. No, they should definitely, yeah. But it's just like, it's weird, right? On the one hand, I think I could say, how expensive are the bribes to make you play a specific master? I hadn't really set a monetary amount for it. We just kind of settled on, like, you know, 40 bucks, I think, or something. Was it 40? I think it was like 40 bucks is what happened, but, hey, you know, you don't have to. That's, if you, we can also certainly just go forth and get through things. Was it 50? Did I say 50? Yeah, I said 50. The point being, like, I don't need, you know, I'm not expecting people to give me $50 unless they really want me to do something. It's more so, you know, that I would like to, not, the price to override democracy is high, okay? Didn't you already, Lucy? Yes. So, I lost my train of thought. I apologize. What I was going to say is, I think, on the one hand, you could say that Lucy's cooldowns make him feel kind of clunky. Do my 5 gifted subs get me a nerf? What do you mean by this? You could say he's clunky. I think you could also say that it does make him kind of unique. Like, it is engaging to play Lucilius, right? In the sense that having to, like, actually, like, you have to think about things that you don't normally have to think about with other characters. And it doesn't feel like it's a crippling weakness, and it feels like spending his specials, even with the cooldowns, still feels strong, right? So I don't feel like making it so, like, oh, he just has 6-second cooldowns or whatever like that. I think it more so just removes uniqueness from the character, right? I think it will be like, it will make him less interesting, right? While it certainly is a bit of clunk, I don't think it's clunk that needs to go away necessarily, right? Something about it feels like slightly too much towards the realm of clunk to me. Maybe even like some slight quality of life buffs to some of the special moves just to make them feel even better to use. Like, maybe don't like don't change the cooldowns or anything like that. Maybe make the specials, maybe give him, like, you know, slightly easier combos off stuff like that. Yeah, maybe make it so, like, you know, M phosphorus like this, you can combo into far M from max range easier, stuff like that, right? Make it so, like, you'll never regret spending your special cooldown on Lucilius, basically. You can basically, but yeah, things like that, because I think it's fine for him to have those cooldowns, and it's fine for it to be like a unique weakness. It gives him some level of identity. It's not just, honestly, a character's weaknesses will usually give them more of an identity and more of a vision than their strengths, right? So I'm okay with him having this sort of unique weakness that once one uses specials, they're gone for so long. But, like, something about it feels a little too much towards the side of a little clunky for me. So I would like some amount of, like, minor maybe buffs to some of his special moves, right? Nothing crazy, not like, oh, he gets entirely new combo routes or anything like that. But, you know, some things just being a little bit more consistent, perhaps, things like that. Let 214U give blade meter? I don't think so. I think letting his, because he can fit a lot of these. Like, you know, he can't fit a lot of U skills into a, I mean, 2 even is already good enough, but 2 plus then all of these that he's going to do as well, right? Is going to be a lot. So I don't know if I want his U skills to give him meter, right? I see the vision. I don't know that I want him gaining blade level meter faster in general, to be honest. It feels clunky as the BL power is completely backloaded. Right. But I don't know that I want him gaining that shit any faster. What if 5U charged way faster, but it was the only way to get blade level? No, I think that's too big of a rework, right? Lucy is popular in forms and events. No, why talking about changes? No, again, I think you just came in here. So let me rephrase what I was. Let me restate what I was saying. I don't think power level wise, I think he's totally fine. Something about him feels a little clunky, and I can't put my finger on why. Right? I think there could be some quality of life changes here that will make him feel a little bit more fun to play, basically. I don't think that Lucy is too weak. I don't think he's too strong. I think Lucy is man, right? I think Lucy is a fully middle of the road, mid-tier, solid character, right? It's just something about him feels a little bleh. And I'm not sure if it's just whatever he's working on is not quite for me. That might be the case, right? That might be the case. But he felt a little clunky, and I'm trying to think about what we could do to change it, right? Not gain it faster, just more evenly spread the power between the levels. That would just be, I mean, because I don't think you want to take any oomph out of BL5, right? Because, like, because, okay, let's take a look at this real quick, just to give a visual understanding to anyone who's not aware of exactly how Lucy's blade level buffs work from 1 to 4 right now, right? So the way it works right now is that Lucy, at level 0, 12-second cooldowns, no damage buff. Level 1, 10-second cooldowns, no damage buff. Level 2, 10-second cooldowns, 10% damage buff. Level 3, 7 seconds, 10%. Level 4, 7 seconds, 20%. Level 5, 3 seconds, 30%. Iskari gets wall bounces, and his supers and ultimate skills also get the buffs, right? So, certainly, level 5 is a gigantic jump, right? It is not at all close, right? Like, the jump from level 4 to 5 is bigger than any of these jumps, right? Also, it's 30%? I don't know why I thought it was. Did it used to be 50 to supers and they nerfed that shit or something? I thought something used to be 50. Maybe I'm wrong. I must be mixing it up with Dragon Blood. I mean, 30 is huge already, right? But yeah, he gets a damage buff, the biggest cooldown buff yet, and it applies to his ult skills, supers, and special, and super skybound art. And he gets the wall bounces, which is one of the best things about it, right? Being able to get 10k mid-screen loses a lot of its oomph if you get it when your opponent has 3k left. Yes. But I'm not entirely sure, because the buffs, while this is a gigantic one, right? I'm not really, these are not insignificant as they currently stand, right? How about this? This is gonna sound like nothing, right? It's gonna sound like absolutely nothing. But what if this was 9 and this was 6? Or no, sorry, this was 6 and this was 9. I know it's gonna, that's like, and then we just did nothing else. I know it sounds like it's nothing, but he is pretty fine. And I feel like that would make more of a difference than you'd think. I'm actually almost worried that would, because Lucy is he's such a tightrope, right? Lucy is such a tightrope. Like if getting Blade level 5 becomes too easy, he just gets right back to the same problem again, right? Maybe this is 9 and this is still 7. That would make that feel a little underwhelming, right? Keeping the Amiskaria combo and supers gain damage buff at BL5 is a big enough oomph. I just like the cooldowns and damage buffs to be at every level and smaller increments. So like you still want us to end up at 3 here, but you want them to not, you want all levels to get both. So you're saying, for example, he loses in total, he loses in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 changes. He loses 9 seconds. Hold on, I can do this. That's it's 1.8. That's 1.8, right? 1.8 seconds per. That's kind of that's a little awkward. You could have it be like 2, 1, 2, 2 or something like that, or like 2, 2, 2, 1, right? So you'd rather, so like every single one of these is like a 2-second cooldown buff and like a 5% damage buff or something like that. Is that kind of what you're thinking of? So like it will go 12 seconds, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, or something. And also, it would go, 0%, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. Touching BL5 is just a no-no unless you juice the rest of him to the moon. Yeah. Something along those lines, yeah. That'd be interesting. That would, I think that'll make it, maybe it'll make it feel like a smoother progression, certainly. Because you really, honestly, this is the big one, right? I never hit BL5. Except when I was forced to, right? But like when I was playing a normal game of Lucilius, I never hit Blade level 5 in like the 80 matches we played or something like that. However, I did hit Blade level 3 pretty commonly. And you really feel that. This shit feels like a shot of adrenaline, right? When you hit the 7-second cooldowns. So that might make it a little less jagged, right? Because this is nice, but you don't really feel it that much, right? And then you don't get another cooldown boost until level 3. Right, so maybe if it's 8 here, I mean, this is a buff, certainly, because at that point, at Blade level 3, he has both more damage and shorter cooldowns than he used to, right? If we're talking, if this is 12 and this is 10-5 and this is 8-10 and this is 6-15, right? This is better than, like, both of these are actually all of them. This is a pretty big buff, right? So while that would be nice, I am a little worried about that, right? This guy again, Lucy really is a tightrope. As soon as it's like, oh, actually, he just gets Blade level 5 like nearly every round again now, unless it's a really bad matchup for it or something like that, then we're right back to, okay, well, we have to nerf him again, right? Because it's just, you know, we just can't, it just can't happen, right? Now, at least you could argue that the fact that he still has to hit people, you know, like all the same weaknesses will still apply, right? If he has to hit people, so yeah, he might just kill them sometimes anyway, right? And if he wants to sit here and whiff, it's still gonna be really hard. On defense, he still can't gain Blade level. But I am just a little nervous with the idea of that. That's certainly a bigger buff than what I suggested. Make him feel like more gradual instead of like a massive drop-off at the beach. Yeah, I don't know, right? Because this is intentional as it currently is. Like this being, there's a reason that it's that the cooldowns, the cooldowns are more important than the damage, right? The cooldowns are the more important buff, right? But there's a reason that this is locked away all the way over here at Blade level 3, right? Getting down to 8 seconds by Blade level 2, I don't know. Something like that maybe though. Something like that maybe. Like I personally, I think I'm on the side of a much smaller change. Just making maybe both of these slightly better, right? Maybe this is 9 and this is 6. Even that I'm a little scared of, right? But I think that's a good start anyway. Mostly because I don't think that Lucilius is that weak, right? To kind of, I guess, finishing off after we speculate, you know, how you can change him. You know, what's a good change, what's a bad change, right? I feel like there are a lot of the hard to balance Granblue characters are there because of Granblue's low power level and system mechanics to cover everyone's otherwise glaring weaknesses. I don't know that Granblue has that low of a power level compared to some older games, certainly, right? But in the modern space, maybe not as much. But the system mechanics making it so that Lucy's defense, for example, even if it would be a problem, he does just have Brave counter at the end of the day, right? He does still have like a non-counter hit recovery UDP. He gets a save jump off it, stuff like that, right? They certainly do help. But the point being that I don't think Lucy's that bad, man. I think if I pulled this shit up real quick, we do this at the end of every master run. Don't worry about the actual tier list too much, okay? I think at this point it mostly represents my opinions on some things, right? But certainly the patch is still new, and I may be overlooking some people. However, right? If anything, maybe he's a little lower than this, but Lucy being roughly, yeah, like again, this is really not like, you know, fair. Like mostly, I think the only, yeah, like this is kind of all just one big blob, except she's probably better than the rest of everyone in here, right? But the point being that Lucy being somewhere in this general vicinity, right? Maybe he's a little lower, maybe I don't think he's much higher than that, right? But Lucy being somewhere in this general vicinity seems right to me, right? And this is not really a vicinity where I think we need big power level changes to the characters, right? I don't think so. I don't think like he, again, maybe some like slight clunkiness helps. Now, to be fair, something like, you know, making this a 9-second cooldown and this a 6-second cooldown is a power level buff, right? Vikala below Uel. I don't even know about you. Uel might be Uel. The reason I want to do, I say this every time we pull up that tier list, but the reason I want to do Uel and Lwane to Masters is because they are the characters I have the least confidence in my opinion of their strengths. Uel, I don't see Uel as worse than Vikala. No, I could see both Uel and Lwane being low tier, mid tier, or high tier. I have no idea. If someone really had that belief, I wouldn't fight anyone super hard on it because I just don't really know how I feel about the characters. But yes. How do you feel about matchup charts and how they affect your opinion on a character's tier rank? I think making an accurate matchup chart is incredibly hard to do. Theoretically, if you had a perfect matchup chart for perfect play and you just averaged it out, you would have an objective tier list, right? But that shit is kind of hard to do. I think it is, we can certainly factor in when we talk about, like, instead of factoring in the matchup chart as a whole, if we factor in the fact that, like, you know, maybe a character is okay, but a lot of their best matchups are, you know, the meta-relevant strong characters, and a lot of their worst matchups are, like, you know, characters you probably are very unlikely to run into in, oh my. Silver, thank you very much for the 10 gift subs. Much appreciated. The price of democracy. I suppose so. Fair enough. Play Vera. All right, I guess Vera's next. The fuck? I want to talk about the rank system first. I want to talk about the rank system first, but after that, we'll start Vera, I suppose. Vera's fun. I'm down to play some Vera. I got no problem with that. But yeah, it's more of a fact of, you know, if a character, if their matchups are highly meta relevant, right? Then I think that is more so where we can talk about matchup charts mattering a lot, right? Like, I think one thing, you know, that was kind of funny, and one of the reasons, for example, that if we looked at Nier, right, this lady over here, like when she was dominant, when she was running the game, right, some of her like weirder matchups were a lot of like bad characters, right? Like, relative to her power level, she had, like, a surprisingly hard time fighting a character like Vasaraga, who, believe it or not, back in the day, was not very good, right? Character like Ladiva also had, like, a strangely even matchup with her, winning, if you ask some. I remember Lazy back in the days telling me that he thought Ladiva beat Nier, straight up, right? But Ladiva, Vasaraga, characters like that, really are not gonna be that meta relevant, right? Like, if you're playing in tournament, if you're playing in an Arc World Tour Major, especially we're talking about, like, you know, patch 1.1 Grand Blue, right? Obviously now, Vasaraga especially, for example, is gonna be a lot more relevant. But back in the day, those characters really didn't matter that much. So the fact that they were kind of bad matchups, or even, you know, more even than usual matchups for Nier, didn't really fucking matter. So that's, in that sort of way, is where I think I can take matchup charts, matchups into account. But even then, matchups in and of themselves, unless they are very polarizing, which honestly there's not that many of those in this game, no one fucking agrees on matchups, man. No one fucking agrees on what the matchup chart even looks like, right? Like, I've had people, Vasaraga Grimnir is so funny, because I've had Grimnir matchups, Grimnir players tell me that Grimnir is Vasaraga is Grimnir's worst matchup, and I've had Vasaraga players tell me Grimnir is Vasaraga's worst matchup, right? Like, no one fucking understands. Like, matchups are so close in this game, they really don't get further apart than, like, if you want to use the number system, which is it's in its own, it's got its own problems. But, like, they basically never get further apart than, like, 6.5, 3.5, and only there's a handful of those, right? So I think matchups are close enough in this game, people can't agree on them, essentially, right? Or, you know, what I would call, like, moderate, like, notable advantage or disadvantage, but nothing significant, right? Voss being that bad for Grim sounds odd to me, but I don't play him, so shrug. I have no idea, man. Like, it's relatively common as well that you'll hear people go like, oh yeah, like this matchup is bad for my character, and then the person they're talking, like the character they're talking about, a player goes, no, actually this matchup's bad for my character, right? So it's the same as Pot Chip. Sure. I mean, Pot Chip's probably just winning for Pot now. Funny enough, they've toppled the dynasty. But yes, the reason I want you to play Vera is to make you experience the Vera matchup into zoners. Yeah, Vera is her or Yuel is the most zonable character in the game, sir. But anyway, Lucy. I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit because we need to go off on some tangents. But Lucy's in a good spot, I think. Right, Lucy's about as strong as I thought he was, but something to make spending these special moves feel a little less, it feels a little bad. Like, there's just a little ping that goes in my mind when I put a Lucilius special on cooldown that just makes me a little sad. And whether it's, you know, some minor consistency buffs to some of the special moves, or, you know, some slight cooldown buffs at some of those blade levels, I think could help a lot. Just to make him feel a little bit less feel bad to play. But overall, the character, I think, is in a solid place. And honestly, I have to, now, in hindsight, I know Lucilius players might disagree with this strongly, because, I mean, humans are loss-averse, and he got significantly worse, right? Still good, but he got significantly worse. Even with that, I think this is a real elegant piece of balance from Cygames. Flag on the play, unnecessary dick riding, I know, I get the whole thing. Yuji had never seen such dick eating before. A special grade? I know. I understand. But it really was just the fucking one line, right? They didn't really do too much else, and it brought him down to what, I believe is a pretty balanced place, right? So I honestly kind of well done. And while there's still a little bit of jank, he was pretty fun. He was pretty fun to play. I can certainly see where things might get frustrating, but, you know, character having weaknesses is not, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And I think the weaknesses are properly balanced out by what you get, you know, if you can overcome them. It's a unique thing. Lucy still does have this boss fight timer, right? And if he, you know, if you do play too slow into Lucy, or if you don't play the matchup correctly, he is going to get that BL5, and he is going to turn you into paste still. It's still a lot less common than it used to be, and that's probably a good thing.